What's going on, traders? It's Sandro O'Connell with Pristine Capital coming at you with yet another market recap video. It is April 8th, 2021. Please like this video, click that like button, and subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed this content, and I will continue to make it for you. Today, we're going to talk about the price action, the indices. We'll go under the hood and check out our sectors and style factors as we always do. We will go through my trades for the day and the options order flow. Before we jump in, a quick risk disclaimer. Nothing in this video should be construed as investment advice or recommendations. Please follow your own trading plan and your own risk parameters. And last but certainly not least, do not YOLO your entire account into any one of my trades. All right, so let's jump in here. Another very bullish day in the markets. You can see here the S&P 500, we are really reaching for the stars here. So we are almost at 4,100 for the S&P, and we are trading well above this monthly value area high. We're above all these key moving averages, and we are bullish on all time frames. At this point, the market is getting a little bit extended, but to be honest, it's been extended for the past 4 or 5 trading sessions. You can see in this last pause here, we really got 2 days of sideways price action, and then we moved higher. So I will say at this point, I think it is a little bit more important to be prudent with entries, because this is that level of extension where it's sort of like poor trade location. Like if you're like, okay, I'm going to get long SPY calls now, maybe we do get that run to, this target here, like 41.50. But when we inevitably do get that correction, that's where you'll just have to be a little bit quicker. Not quite the same as entering on the first breakout candle or something like that. But overall, this trend is very bullish. If we look here, we will go to our Russell futures. And you can see the Russell, one point it was like, oh man, are the small caps really about to take a dive here? And they stick saved today. So you can see there were definitely buyers that were coming in and supporting the IWM, the Russell 2000, and we closed above the 50-day moving average and the 5-day exponential moving average. The one thing though is the IWM, or the small caps, they're still stuck in the monthly value area. So we'll have to see if they make another test of this top of value or if they continue to just kind of like middle around here. So we'll have to see. If we pull up our NASDAQ has been super exciting. You can see here, NASDAQ had a big correction and we have almost recovered back to the highs. So you can see today we finished up 1.35%. This one I would say same story. Looking bullish on all time frames. Looking like we are going to make a test of those prior all-time highs. But at this point, definitely just getting a bit extended here. And then if we pull up our Dow Jones, you can see Dow Jones is actually looking pretty solid here. It's consolidated for about 4 days sideways, and closed very close to the highs as well. Now we're getting where that 20-day moving average is starting to catch up with price. Definitely looking okay. One thing that was a little interesting, we'll just have to monitor this just to be sure, but you can see the VVIX. This is the first day since March 18th, that we've closed above this 5-day exponential moving average. Keep in mind the VVIX definitely is at a very low level, taking quite a beating over the last 2 weeks, but it's definitely always noteworthy for me when we get a nice green candle on the VVIX and we close on the high. So that's definitely for me the first yellow flag that we're really seeing here. That is that. Let's take a quick look at our heat map. And you can see, so for our FinViz heat map, a lot of the strength again was concentrated in the mega cap tech names, but you can see the overall breadth, wasn't bad today. So you can see it kind of mixed across the board. But we did have some strength in some of these financial services names. You can see industrial's a bit mixed. Aerospace and defense looking pretty strong. Really, energy is struggling. Today, real estate, essentially took the day off. But pretty mixed board. But the stocks that matter, moved higher. So long as these FANG names move higher, the indices, the SPY and the NASDAQ, they are likely to continue higher as well. And then for our sector heat map here, you can see in our top slot, again, we have the semiconductors, and then we have the ARK funds that are now catching some momentum. So the ARK funds were like at the bottom of this list for so long here. Now they've moved up to the top. So this FinTech fund, ARK Innovation, Next Gen Internet. And then would you look at this, the gold miners are actually in one of the top slots. So very interesting. We're seeing a lot of rotation from some of these areas that were at the bottom of the list moving much higher. And if we look at our style factors, you can see here we did have some broad strength in the style factors. Momentum and growth were leading us higher, and you can see now they're at the top of this leaderboard. At the bottom of this list now we have cyclicals, which are at the very bottom. Definitely very different. Across pretty much like February, that was when that value trade was hitting its climax. And it was like, all right, everybody's going into value, reopening. Now you can see that things have normalized a bit. Some of these value stocks and reopening plays are still acting very well, but it's not the same breadth where just like every single name in those groups is moving higher. And then same thing with growth. Not every growth stock is coming back the same way it was prior, but we are starting to see new leadership within those areas. So if we take a look at some of my trades for today, let's pull these up. So I did some options trading today. I closed the remaining half of my Boyd calls. I had calls for June. Closed them out for 648. I had paid 610. Took another target higher on those at about 680. Boyd Gaming, if we look here, still looks okay. You can see closed. Wow, actually closed on the highs. So yeah, you can see this one actually broke out of this monthly value area. In the morning, it was looking like, oh man, a lot of these recovery type names are really under pressure. So close those out. But yeah, this one, looks like it wants to continue higher. So this one is definitely going to be on my watch list for tomorrow as well. Yeah, took that one off for a nice winner. There we go. So took off Boyd Gaming. And then you can see here. Yeah, so I day traded some IWM puts. These are for April 16th. I stopped out of those shortly after, once we got that reversal in the IWM and things stabilized. I took some BUD, which is Anheuser-Busch. Took some June 18th 165 strike calls for $2.69. I closed out a third of those later in the day for $2.87. And really, I just saw the VVIX was heading higher. I just said I want to take some early targets. So still have 2/3 of that position on. Another one that I added was Capri. Capri is looking very solid here. So what I started noticing as the session progressed was that some of these, value type names, reopening stocks, they had pretty big pullbacks, but some of them were starting to shape up. So if we look here, Capri, I entered this when it was like just below this 20 period moving average. And I have the 50 by 54 diagonal call spread. So I sold the April 54 strike calls, bought the May 50 strike calls. And what that does is, like, even if the week is pretty slow next week for options expiration, it allows me to collect the theta decay from that April option. And then who knows, maybe we get a tag of this top of value. This one could be a nice winner here. So yeah, we have Capri. Yeah, then I took profits on my XLK diagonal call spread. This is another one where, in my opinion, the tech stocks are looking pretty overbought here. Who knows, maybe they just, continue to rip higher. But definitely once something has gone up for, you know, once it's been on a run like this, and this is essentially like a parabolic run, and you can see how extended it is from this 5-day exponential moving average, especially with the VVIX rising. That's just a point where I don't want to get greedy. I had a nice profit in these calls, so I was like, you know what, I'll leave a runner on, but I'm going to take off 2/3. Maybe I get an opportunity to add some of those back. Yeah, entered that for 378, took 2/3 off for 446. I did some stock trading as well. I got long OKTA, and this was a really interesting trade here. So OKTA was doing some scanning in the pre-market, and I just noticed there was an incredible amount of volume coming into the stock. And I entered this one at about 234 and change. But this one here, you can see, yeah, the relative volume was 2.49. So that is definitely something where when you get these breakouts, it helps. Like, is there, a high amount of volume behind the breakout, or is it just like, pretty weak volume? When there's high volume, that tells you, there must be some institution or big player that's adding a position in this name. And that's going to drive the price higher. So yeah, this one from very early on, I was like, all right, I want to put a position on in OKTA. They had an investor presentation. Apparently they're entering into 2 new product lines. So that's always good when, like, okay, there's some new information about the company. There's a catalyst. And I'm seeing, okay, the market, likes that catalyst. So yeah, this one, it's been stuck in this range for about a month now. And you can see after today's action, we are pretty much right at the top of that range. This one, you can see, didn't close quite on the highs, but this one, it was extended well beyond the upper Bollinger Band. So we'll want to give this one a pass, see how it goes. But yeah, entered that one, looking pretty good so far. So that was OKTA. So I tried Digital Turbine again for the breakout. I got long at $88.30. And Digital Turbine here, you can see this one has just been, a lot of shakeouts, really choppy. I mean, if and when it does break out, it's probably going to be when everyone that's been trying it is just so frustrated that they're like, forget this stock. And then it'll break out. I'm going to set the alert here again. But what I did was I set an alert. And once it started breaking out of this monthly value area, I set a stop order to enter me into some stock. So I got in at 88.30. And what I noticed was, compared to OKTA, apps just wasn't really seeing that heavy volume that I would like to see. So yeah, by the end of the day, it finished with a relative volume of only 0.96. And yeah, this one ended up defending the position pretty nicely. This was I think a good risk management case study here. So I closed out half of my position at $88.75. So I was slightly in the money on my stock purchase. And I said, took off half at this price, setting a stop for the rest of my shares at $88, locking in at least a scratch here, because I'm not seeing the level of volume I would like to see on a powerful breakout. So my stop on my remaining half of my shares got triggered, and I closed out the remaining half at $87.96. So the trade ended up being a scratch. So that's one where, with trading, it's all about thinking in terms of probabilities. So for this one, I was like, okay, this breakout looks very iffy. I'm not going to stay completely in because, if it fails, I'll end up taking a loss. So for this one, it was like, I'll take half off at a gain, lock in at least a scratch, and then see what happens. So this one, who knows? For all I know, this one could have extended. Maybe that was like the breakout, or it hits 95 or hits 100. But yeah, I was able to cover my risk on that one. So yeah, if it breaks out again, I'll keep trying this name and seeing what happens. And then I also closed out for a nice winner here, some SE common shares. So this one, SE, I'd paid $248.19, closed out for $254 spot 20. And SE, this name looks awesome. I remember trading this name in 2020. But yeah, SE at this point has just had, an incredible run here. So yeah, these stocks, they don't just keep going up forever in a straight line. And you can see SE, I could definitely see this one checking back to the 5-day exponential moving average or this 50-day that it broke above or something of that nature. So I was like, you know what, VVIX is rising a little bit. Let me exit here for a winner. And yeah, you can see the way this closed, there were definitely some players taking some profits off the top here. Yeah, this name still looks good. If we can get a recheck or a retest back here, we'd definitely be interested in giving it another shot. And if we take a look, yeah, so closed out those SC shares for a nice winner. Yeah, so I want to make sure, like, when the market is just kind of like blowing off, I just want to make sure that I'm taking some profits along the way. When I start to see these yellow flags, I'm making sure, okay, let me be prudent. I'll take an early target in something or, that sort of thing. So if we pull up our options order flow, you can see we actually have a lot of puts that came in today. So yeah, we had some JP Morgan puts, SPY, let's see, more SPY, XLC. So I'll have to see when the equity put to call ratio comes out later. But yeah, definitely, some doubters on this rally. Viacom, let me see what that one is doing. This is one of Bill Huang's stocks. Yeah, let me see here. Oh my gosh, yeah, Viacom. This one still looks like a dog. What the heck's going on here? Maybe there are people still liquidating. That's kind of nuts. Yeah, some of these Bill Huang names definitely look different than the others. Yeah, Discovery still looks the same. The one that I'm in, which is Baidu, this one, to me, it's looking nice and healthy. So you can see here, Baidu, I had some 190 by 200 call spreads. They expire next Friday. Those are deep in the money. I have 195 by 200 call spreads expiring next Friday, pretty deep in the money. Then I also have some 220 strike calls for May. And this is just really nice tight price action here. And to me, it looks like the sellers have all dried out. We had that big capitulation down day. And then from there on out, it's like there's just not many, players trying to hit the exits on this thing. So I'll have to see. It looks like it's being accumulated. That's why I purchased those calls. So we'll have to see. Definitely interested in seeing, what the river brings for Baidu. I see we have a gap fill here at around 238. We also have a VPOC here at 232.2. And if you look here, this is the hourly chart. You can see on this hourly chart, we just crossed above that 200 period moving average. And this is really the first time we've done that since this thing had its plunge. So definitely liking what I am seeing here. That's for sure. So we'll have to see how it plays out. What else do we have for this flow? Yeah, you can see a SPY call player came in at the end of the day. Yeah, it looks like some hedgers over here. Oh yeah, one that interested me, I was taking a look at this one. Procter & Gamble. Somebody came in with September 130 strike calls. Procter & Gamble. Consumer staples name, not the most exciting. This one had, a crazy move in March to the upside. It's been consolidating the gain. So I do have some exposure to consumer staples. In this group, it's a slow mover, but moving in the right direction here. That about does it for this options order flow. Also about does it for this market recap video. Hope you guys all had an awesome trading day, and I will see you all tomorrow in the pre-market session.